everybody, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. I thought I would bring you guys along for a deck mod video. I haven't done one of these in a really long time. I will link the last one of these I did up in the cards, but I'm pretty sure that was when I trimmed the Everyday Enchantment deck by Poppy Palin. But today I'm going to be modifying my copy of the Happy Tarot. This is a deck by, I think it's Serena Fici. The name's not on the booklet. Okay, so Serena Fici is the deck artist, and this is a Lo Scarabeo deck. Current versions of this deck are borderless, and so I thought I would just give it a try to modify this deck and make it borderless, and also edge it. I've picked a few ink colors out. I have a grape jelly color, I have lilac posies, and I have, what's this one called? Spring Pansy, which is like a light purple color. So a dark purple, a light purple, and then like a lilac. This is actually kind of a pinky purple color. And I just thought these three colors would go really nicely with the backings of the cards. So I don't know how well the volume is because my camera's actually a bit away from me. But what I'm going to do is show you how I've set all of this up. And then when I'm ready to get started, I'm probably going to put a lot of the actual cutting and edging on speed up. But for starters, I have, just so you know what kind of supplies I have around me, I have this small Fiskars guillotine cutter. This is the exact trimmer that I saw on Dawn Michelle at Boho Tarot's channel, so I was fairly confident it would do cards well because she's modified a few decks using this trimmer, I believe. At least she did the Guardian Angel, which is what I also did. I've also got a small ruler that is reliable. I've used it for a long time. And I have some paper toweling for when I go to do the edging of the deck, and my deck. I've also used, again, another tip I learned from Dawn Michelle, some washi tape, some sort of holographic pretty washi tape to mark out where I think I'm going to be doing my cuts, but I'm going to be checking the measurements as I go. So yeah, let's get started. So what I want to do, I'm going to just zoom us in, I think, a little bit here to make sure my deck is right side up. What have I done here? Oh, just one card's upside down. Okay. So what I want to do, I'm going to zoom us in. There we go. Okay. So I want to take off the top border here, including this little sort of floral pattern underneath. I want to take off the bottom border also with that little floral bit underneath, and both sides so that we're perfectly borderless. I did a test cut that didn't go quite right on the sample card, but this is a little bit too big on one side, so you can see there's a little bit too little space on this side and a little bit too much on this side, but that was just a test. Mostly what I want to make sure of is that I'm not quite this small, so I'd like to be, the height was right, but the width was a little off on my test. So I took a little too much off on the one side. You can kind of see that's about where I'm lined up. Actually, I should show you on the back. If I line up the pattern, yeah. So too much was off on the one side. So I've double checked, after I did this test cut, I double checked my measurements again and remarked my lines. So we will see how it goes. Wish me luck. I use this little test card as a bit of a bookmark to show where the English in the little white book ends. So I'm just going to set that one aside and zoom us back out so you can see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Oops, that's in. Back out. There we go. You should be able to see lots now. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to try to not get like my body or my head in the way, and we're just going to go for it. So the first mark that I have marked on my cutter, I'm going to do the sides first. So I'm going to do, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do the right side of all the cards first, and then I'm going to do the left side. So I'm going to flip them all upside down and do this side. So my first mark, I'm just going to line this up and make sure this looks right. My first mark is in just a bit. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. No, you can't. Okay. That's where the blade's going to be. I feel like this first mark, okay, this is awkward to do while filming. We'll see how I do here. Yeah, so the first mark I want to go in I just want to make sure that I'm not taking off too much. So I'm using my ruler and just hugging it up against the side of the blade, and I think that's going to be a little too much, so I'm going to back it off a little. I hope that makes sense. And right about there. And that lines up pretty well with my mark, but I'm going to pull my mark back just a little because it's a little too far over. There. So I'm going to do my first cut a little conservatively, make sure I'm happy with it, and then I'll check it. So I've put the washi tape right on the line. I'm going to press down on this clear guard and trim. And I did get left with a shred of edge on the side. So it is a little shy, so I was probably right before. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit because I don't want to take off more than I need to. So I've brought my washi tape in just a bit, and I'm going to line up with this new spot and press the guard down and take that little shred off. So it was a very fine adjustment. If you can see the like hair that I added, it was a very small adjustment. So that's my right side. So I'm going to do all my right sides together, and then I'm going to go back in, turn the cards upside down, and do my next mark. So I'm going to speed this next bit up, watch something fun on my tablet, and go for it. Okay, so here I am at just the right side taken off the cards, and what I've been doing throughout is I've been just checking to make sure that when I pick up the deck it feels nice and even, that it feels smooth, nothing's sticking out, and I just check it on the machine cut side to make sure I don't have any obvious ridges, and then I just flip it over to the side I cut and feel for the same thing. So everything feels really, really even right now, so I'm really happy. I'm going to take this first mark washi tape off, and I'm gonna now check my second side. So I'm gonna see if I can figure out exactly where my mark needs to be. So I've got it aligned with where I think I'm going to be doing my cut. I'm gonna do a test cut. This is my conservative, and that looks exactly like where I want it to be. So I'm just gonna check it against another card and make sure I haven't cut off. Oh, it's perfect. So I just put another card behind it. As you can see, there's no color peeking out, so this one has the pink in the background. And when I tap it to make sure that it's all lined up, I don't see any of that pink peeking through, which means I've taken off exactly the right amount. Actually, there's just a shred of border color still lingering. So I'm gonna bring it in just a tiny touch from where I was. And then I'm going to, so that's where my mark was. I'm just going to come in just a hair more generous. Beauty. And that's where I want it. So I'm going to do all of the rest of this side, and I'll check back in when it's done. Okay, so I've done both sides. They're feeling really, really even. I'm super happy. No complaints so far. I had a couple times where I had to go a second pass because I think what happens sometimes is when I'm bracing the card against the top guard, it shifts ever so slightly when I start to do the cut. So I started having that happen less often when I would line it up and then I would press my finger down onto this plastic guard to add just some extra stability while I'm holding it. So I was kind of a three finger, a finger at the top, a finger at the bottom, and a finger on the guard when I was making my cut. Just helped it to get a little bit more even with less of those little shreds that I need to take off. So really happy with that. I'm gonna move on to doing the top next, and I think what I'm gonna do is try a cut with the little flowers, leaving them in there so that I can leave the most image, and line that up and see what I think, and then I may readjust to take the little flowers off. So I'm gonna try my first one here, and I'm just gonna measure. And so if I left the flowers on, I'd be looking at 1/4 of an inch plus a bit. So let's just see if I take this off for a second here. If I'm looking at the top, then I would be, here's where I'm at right now. So I'd be going, I can't see my marks here. I can take this mark off, so I'm done with the sides. So let's take this mark off. And so line up the top. And if I get this lined up so it looks like I'm gonna just take off the top, then I am at this line right here. Sorry, I know my head's probably in the way, but I'm gonna try this one and see what I think. Oh, that's too much. I need to go like another little bit down. So right about there puts us on that mark. Okay. So let me do one of these cuts and see what I think. I use the ruler just to kind of press the tape down, or if it starts to move, because as I go through this over time, I feel like that starts to move. So let me just, whoop. Okay, well, that was a little further than I thought. Looks like it took a bit of the flowers off, so I'm just gonna go the rest of the way and go in just a little bit more to there and see where we end up. Sorry, I know my head is like, okay, so let's try it here and press the guard down. I think I'm good with that. There's like a tiny little shred, which I think will be barely noticeable, of the tops of the flowers, so I think I'm good. I'm gonna do the rest of the deck at this mark, and then I will come back and do the bottoms. And I may decide to leave the bottoms on, but then I've got this bottom border on the top, on the back. So I think I'm probably gonna end up taking that off, but we will see. So I'm gonna continue to do the rest of the tops the way that I've done that one, and I will check in again with you when that's done. So I'm really pleased with how this is going so far. I have just the bottom borders remaining. This feels really smooth on all sides. I feel like my cuts have been really even. There might be one card actually right here that needs a slight little teeny adjustment on the side. So I'm going to use my ruler up against the side here to just butt it up against where the blade will go, and then bring it in just ever so slightly for a little Here, that might have been a little too much. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's feel it out. Yeah, that feels better. So yeah, nothing sticking up. There's an ever so slight unevenness because of course it's not a machine cut and I'm doing it by eyeing it, but using the measurements really, really, really helps. So all I've got left now are the bottom borders. If it weren't for the backs, I think I would be tempted to leave those on, but I am going to take them off. I'm going to be just as conservative as I was with the tops, although these have a bigger bottom. So I'm going to have to put a new mark on, and I'm switching out the pieces of tape because these start to get a little bit beat up on the edges from butting the card up against it. So I'm going to do my new mark now. So I'm going to start from the top here. And again, I'll start a little on the conservative side, bring this. I like to check the little pieces that come off because it tells you how much color you're taking off. So I'm going to put that right up there. That's where I'm at now. And let's bring it in 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's bring it right to the 4. And I think right at the 4 here might be exactly perfect. So I'm going to test it with a cut. And it is. There's like just, again, the very tiniest hint of these bottom floral decorations here, but it's so hard to see, and being able to line up right on this 4 will make it easier for me to cut. So I'm just going to line up on the 4. I'm not going to put the tape up this time, and I'm just going to go straight up by that line because that line goes all the way down my cutter. So it's one of these main lines, so that's going to make it really, really easy. I'm just going to keep on the 4. I am going to, just so that I don't get distracted, put a little piece of tape up top so that I don't accidentally get confused and think I should be in a different spot, so I can still line up with that line, but I'm not going to put the tape where the card has to touch it. So I'm going to continue on and cut the rest of these bottoms off, but that is what they're going to look like borderless, and then I will be moving on to corner trimming. Okay, so after I've done the first cut, I'm worried it's leaving just a little too much, so I think when I do the cut, I'm going to try to come in just a little bit so I can see the entirety of that 4 line. In other words, I'm not going to try to be right on top of it. I'm going to be just ever so slightly to the side of it. And these like little micro adjustments, once you kind of get a good vision for them, see, it's not quite enough. Let's come in and have there be a little bit of white space to the right of the 4 line. That I think is probably going to be close enough. I'm going to do the same thing on the first card I did just to make sure that we're lined up. Just that little tiny thread of white space. And these should be even now. And they are. So, okay, I'm going to continue on like that. Here we go. So I've got a card here, and I'm going to try, now that I've finished all 4 sides, and I'm pleased with the cut, everything seems pretty good. I've got a couple in here that might be just a touch on the short side, but it's not the end of the world. To touch, it feels smooth. I've got a couple, actually I've got one little card here that I feel like I need to adjust ever so slightly, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to bring that one in. See if that, did I actually take anything off? It's always the hard thing, right? It's like, are you actually fixed? Yeah, I don't think there's anything here I really want to fuss with too much more. So that means I'm all done with my paper trimmer. And I'm going to be moving on to doing corners. So I have my cards here. I have an art card that I got with an oracle deck, the Inner Compass Oracle, and I'm going to use my corner trimmer just to show a couple different sizes. So I have my large corner trimmer here. Oh, this cardstock is really thick. And then I have a small corner trimmer. This is actually, yeah, this is the small. I don't have a medium, so I usually do one or the other. So let's take a look. So if I use the large, I'm losing, yeah, or the small. I think for this deck I'm going to use the small corner rounder. I can always go back in and make them large again, but I'm going to start small because I think that's the one I prefer. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that off camera, but I'll show you one really quick, and then I'll show you when we're all done. So I just slide it in. It's really nice because these little guards catch it. And boom. We'll do the other side. The other side. There we go. And that's my rounded corner. So I'm going to do the rest of these. I'm not going to do a speed up or anything. This corner rounder does have a little catch area to catch the little corners. I find that I just need to knock it out pretty regularly or they start getting caught up in the blade. So that's the only tip I have about that. There is another quarter rounder that I've seen people use where you have multiple sizes on the same rounder, but I love these ones. They're very comfortable to hold. You can kind of get your whole palm around them if your fingers start getting tired. So I love these, and these are the ones I'm probably going to continue to use for my deck mods. So I'm going to go ahead and round the corners, and I'll be back with ya. Okay, so I finished doing all of the corners, and I have sorted the deck into majors and the other suits, and I've decided that what I'm going to do for colors, for edging, is I'm going to use this dark purple color to edge all of the majors. And since I don't want the dark color to overpower the edges, I'm going to do 2 suits each for the other 2 colors. So I'm going to do the wands and the cups as this brighter pink purple color, and then I'm going to do the pentacles and the swords in this lighter purple color. So how I like to work with these is I like to have some paper towels handy and lots of table space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work one color at a time, and I like to run it along the edges, get the corners. I like to move the card, not the ink pad usually. Actually, I'm probably going to change that up because I think I do like to move the ink pad, not the card. Yeah, I'm going to have better control that way. So I just like to make sure I haven't missed any spots. And once I've gone around all the edges, then I just take the paper towel and rub it along to make sure there's no wrap, and then set it aside to dry. So yeah, I think I do like to hold the ink pad. I do, yeah. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So I'll go around, make sure I get all the edges. And the corners are where I tend to miss spots, so I usually double check those. And I will say that these little dewdrop pads are really great because they're small, they're easy to move around. There's some differences in the way that the surface of the ink pad is, so I'm just going to show you that real quick. Put this one aside. So some of the newer ink pads that I have, which are the ones labeled as Memento, these ones have what looks to be, let's see if I can bring it in so you can see it here. They have like this surface on them that's almost like a fabric over top of the squishy sponge bit. Now the ones that I've used before, oh, I've got ink on me, I must have touched. But the ones that I've used before are these lighter ones that are labeled as Versamagic. These ones have a sort of squishier sponge top. I don't know if you can tell the difference. These ones tend to wrap a little bit more from what I'm able to tell than these Memento ones, which you can see have that sort of surface layer. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do the rest of the deck, and for these I like to let them sit dry. I'll do one pile, let them sit and dry for a bit, and then I'll do the next pile. So I'm going to get my secondary piles out of the way and work just on my majors, and then we'll go from there. So I finished the first 2 colors. So I finished the grape jelly color and the spring pansy purple. So I have on my table all the majors, all the swords and all the pentacles all laid out. So I'm going to pick all those up. I think I just bumped the camera. I'm going to pick these guys up now and stack them up so you can kind of see how the edges look. They still need more dry time before I'm going to be comfortable shuffling them, but it'll give you a good idea of how the edging, the colors themselves turned out. I just have to be careful. I'm probably going to get a little bit on my hands if I try to handle them too much, because these inks do take a good, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes per color, and I can see some white spots, so I'll have to do some touch-ups. But let me get these ones all picked up. I'm not going to try too hard to like pick them up in any particular order, and we'll just see. Okay, so here are my lights, and those came out pretty good. I'm pleased. I don't see a lot of touch-ups needed on that one. On the dark purple, I feel like there's a few cards here I need to touch up, so I'm going to do that next, give some of these a second pass. But you can see together that that's where we're at right now with the color, and there's the back. So I'm pretty happy with those. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do some touching up on the darker purple ones and maybe just give them another pass. These ones I'm just going to set aside to dry for now. I don't mind if they've got a little bit of white because it's a really pale color, but yeah. So I'm going to work on these, give them a second pass on the cards that have some white, and then I'm going to get into my last color, which is this lilac posies. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back. And I'm back. So I have done all the edging for all the suits now, and these are my finished 3 colors. I'm actually really happy with those considering the backs. I'm going to do a very gentle hand over hand. I'm not quite comfortable doing a rifle yet because these are still pretty wet. See if I can get a bit of a mix so you can get an idea. Oh. Now you know what? I'm going to try a rifle because I'm impatient and I can't help it. Okay. There, so you can start to see it still needs more mix. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I picked the majors for the darker purple because I didn't want the dark to overwhelm, and I figured that would be the fewest. There we go, so you can really see. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with that. I picked 3 good colors. They match the backs really well, and I'm really pleased with how these turned out. Borderless. They're very Rider-Waite Smith, so it's really easy to identify what card you're looking at, and free of the borders, it just opens the art right up. This is definitely going to be probably one of my favorite deck modifications ever. So glad I did this. Again, this is the Happy Tarot. Thanks for hanging out with me while I modified this deck, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!